right. Hi, guys. I'm Sarah, and Letitia is with me, and we are going to talk to you guys about time management and study strategies today. So I'm going to talk to you about time management. Basically, I'm just going to hit planning, prioritizing, how you shouldn't multitask because it's not efficient, and then talk about kind of removing distractions just to make the most of your time. So the first thing I want to talk about is planning. Really, especially when you're trying to really focus on time management, you should schedule everything. Whether you use an app like Google Calendar or iCalendar, which are both really nice because they'll give you notifications about all your events. You can get email notifications, text notifications, just push notifications on your phone. Those are really handy. You can also just use handwritten planners. Whatever size, whatever layout works best for you. You can kind of play around with that. You can print some online for free instead of buying one. There's lots of different options there. And then Schoology also has a calendar that you could use if you're just looking for something more assignment-based that will send you notifications as well. But really, if you're trying to focus on time management, you want to schedule all your time, whether it's a 15-minute meeting with a professor or you're going out for coffee with a friend. So with this planning, like I just said, you want to write down everything: homework, practices, meetings, vacations, whatever it is, you want to write it down so that you can manage that time well. And then the last bullet point there is a link to a research paper timeline, which I thought would be helpful to include. So if you're working on writing a research paper, you can use that link. You can put in the requirements of your research paper and when it's due, and it'll break down for you the paper, like when you need to have your intro done by and when you need to have the whole paper done by, and kind of breaks it down a little bit easier so you're not writing the entire paper the night before it's due. And so then the next step that goes into time management is prioritizing. So you really want to prioritize what's most important to you. No one can really tell you what to do with your events. You want to do what's most important to you, whether that's practice or meetings or hanging out with friends, whatever it may be. But when it comes to homework, you definitely want to prioritize, what's due the next day versus what's due in a week. And you can also kind of rank things by difficulty. If you like to do something that's more difficult first, or you like to do the easy stuff first and build up to the difficult stuff, is up to you. But you definitely want to build yourself a system, and you can use numbers or colors to do that. In the pictures that I have to the right, green might be the easiest stuff to do, and then yellow is a little harder, and then red is the hardest. Or green might be the stuff that needs to be done by tomorrow, and yellow within the next 2 days, and then red by the weekend, maybe. Just something that works for you. And we'll talk about academic coaches in a little bit, and they're definitely people who can help you figure out what system works best for you. One of my other points was a lot of people like to multitask. That could be as simple as watching TV while you're trying to do your homework, or it could be trying to do 2 assignments side by side because they're both due very quickly. There's technically no such thing as multitasking. Your brain can't do that many things at the same time. You're just switch tasking, which is actually super inefficient. So there's a link on this slide when it's posted that you could try if you wanted to do kind of a fun little activity. That shows you how inefficient switch tasking is. It takes you so much longer to do each thing than it would be if you did them individually, and it's really not efficient. So when you're working on time management, you really want to make sure you're paying attention to one thing at a time and not trying to switch task. And then lastly, I just wanted to throw in a few more time management tips. Make sure you remove all your distractions, especially when you're working on your homework. Put your phone down, close your door so your friends can't come in and tell them that you'll hang out later. All those things that you usually hear when someone tells you to avoid distractions. And then other things that are helpful can be finding out what time of day you're most productive. For me, I generally am more productive in the mornings, and I know that, so I try to schedule things in the morning versus at night. I try to do more of my homework in the morning versus at night, and that kind of thing. And really that's up to you and kind of experimenting and figuring out what works best for you. You can also use apps to help you focus. The one that's on the right is called Focus. That's all it's called. But you set goals for yourself for how long you don't want to pick up your phone. And that particular app will plant trees the longer that you don't pick up your phone. But other apps will give you coupons or points or different things like that. So that's definitely something to look into if you have a problem with picking up your phone all the time. But also remember to give yourself breaks. If you're burnt out, if your brain is tired, you're not going to manage your time well, you're not going to get anything done. So just make sure that you kind of structure your day so that you can give yourself some breaks here and there.
Alrighty, now we're going to talk about some different study strategies. Obviously, everyone has a different one that works best for them, so it's kind of just figuring out what helps you really study and succeed in your classes. But I have some habits for you, techniques, and helpful tips to help you decide what's going to work best for you and how to be the most efficient in your studying. So some study habits. It's really important to study early, at least like a week before a test is kind of an ideal place to start, and study in shorter intervals. Don't study for hours at a time because that's not as productive. Your brain gets tired and it's really hard to retain all that information. And then I also find it really helpful to designate a place just to study. It's really hard to study at the same time as you're in your bed where you normally sleep, or in your room where you want to hang out with friends, kind of thing. And then again, avoid distractions and multitasking. And so studying really requires your time management skills to really come in. And then some study techniques. It's really good to write everything down. Use whiteboards. It helps your brain to write it out to actually remember your information. Just reading the text or notes or whatever isn't really going to solidify that information in your brain. So it's really good to write it all out. And make sure you quiz yourself because it helps you figure out what you know, what you need to figure out, and yeah, where to go from there. And then another thing, especially for some essay tests, it's really helpful to do concept maps because you can lay out what content is where and how they connect and why it's important to the class. And so then you really get a good, like, solid knowledge of the whole theme or test, whatever it's on. And then another helpful thing is to make sure to study in groups, because if you don't understand something, someone else very may well. And so you can ask them, they can help teach you. And it's also very good to be able to teach the material to other people. It's going to help you solidify that information more and really learn what you need to learn for the class. And then, like I kind of mentioned earlier, split up your material over multiple days. Schedule one chapter one day, do another chapter another day, and then maybe the day before the test, take 30 minutes to review it all, kind of thing. And then some helpful study tips. Yeah, so just divide the material up and make a study schedule, because that's going to be really helpful for you to plan how and what you're going to do each time you go to study. And then if you study early, like is the best way to do it, you can visit your professor's office hours before a test to really ask for help or different explanations to help you understand the things that maybe were confusing eventually. And then it's also really important to visit your class tutor or the academic coaches, which we'll talk both about the different roles for these two in a little bit. And then as well as get a good night's sleep before the actual exam, because you want to be well rested and prepared to take this test, because that's going to help you a lot. It doesn't help to cram in or procrastinate, because then you're going to be off your game the next morning or day. Yeah.
So what she mentioned just a second ago with academic tutors and coaches, we wanted to make sure that you guys understood the difference between those two, because we know sometimes those terms are just kind of thrown out and no one really explains them. So a tutor, like you might guess, helps you with course content. So anything specific to that course, like if you're in a math class and you don't understand the equations you're doing, or you don't understand how to solve the problems that are going on in that class, you should see your tutor. But if you really just need help with study strategies, time management, maybe how to email a professor to ask for help, and things along those lines, the more kind of logistical, not anything that's not content for your course, you should see an academic coach instead.
And now we're going to go over how to schedule an appointment. It's going to be the same for the tutors and the academic coach. So what you do is you're going to go to the Carthage My WC Online, and you can make an account there, or if you already have one, you can always reset your password if you don't remember, because maybe you set it years ago. And then you'll log in and you're going to select the peer tutoring and SI fall 2020 schedule. And then there's going to be a class drop-down menu where you can either select a class if you're trying to find a tutor. For example, like an accounting class, you could accept, the course code will be up there and you can select that accounting class, and the tutors will show up that teach that class. If you're trying to do an academic coach one-on-one meeting, you just select the academic coach. Everything should be listed alphabetically, and so you'll see it that way, or you can scroll that way. And then you're just going to set a block of time that works for you. The blue slots are going to be ones that the tutors or academic coaches are not available. So you definitely want to go for the white ones, and you click on it, and it'll let you make that appointment. And I think it asks too, like, what you need help with and stuff to help warn the tutor or academic coach so they can really prepare and make sure that they can help you get what you need out of the session.
And just something to add is if you don't know what you need, you just know you need help, feel free to put that too. Like if you know that you just need something to help you get back on track, that's totally fine. Just jot that down in the notes and we'll be totally prepared to just kind of help you with whatever you need.
Yeah.
Thanks guys. Good luck this semester.